Sure. Coach Huthman, what is your optimism rooted as the Spiders being a team?
Well, I mean, you're always optimistic going into a season. I feel really good about our offense and where we are there. Um, I think defensively, we got to figure out where we are, but I do think the back end on our defense is really good. And we're just a little inexperienced up front defensively. So, other than the inexperience up front on the defensive line, I feel pretty good.
Hey, if I could follow up, you mentioned the secondary. Clearly, they have a big challenge ahead of them. Hard to find. You did get some big, strong receivers to establish your good college players. How do you deal with that? Amir's got some size to him, but the rest of your corners are corner size for the most part.
Yeah, they are. They're fantastic at wide out. Um, just big time players. They've, put up big numbers last year. I think the biggest thing is we know they're going to throw and catch, and they'll catch. I mean, they're going to catch balls on us. There's no question about that. And quarterback's fantastic. I think the big thing is we got to limit any big plays. When we got a chance to get them on the ground, we have to get them on the ground. Our guys will compete back there. I think we're fairly athletic in the secondary. So, I mean, they'll compete and they'll fight, but we got to make sure that no big plays happen and we get them on the ground when we got a chance.
Coach, with the overhaul of the offensive side of the ball, I know how much have you seen during practice of it, and has it come along as much as you would like it to, leading up to your season opening game?
Yeah, I mean, I like where we are. We got some guys on the outside that can make plays at wide out. I think we got two really, really, really good running backs. Two tight ends we like a lot. Obviously, Connor Devaney played a lot last year for us. Brooks Haggerty has really come along this camp. And then up front, we're playing with a lot of older guys that have played a lot of football here. So, that I like, you know, I like how many snaps this offense has taken in the past couple years. I mean, Reese has got a bunch of college reps under his belt, and Jake Harris and all those guys. And so I like where we are on offense. Now we just got to execute. We got to hang on to the football, and it'll be a pretty good test. I think Virginia's really, really good up front. Um, they've got some grad transfers that I think will be really good for them. So we'll probably have to throw and catch it and take advantage of everything we can. We got to stay away from penalties offensively, both sides of the ball, stupid penalties, whether it's substitution penalties, procedure penalties. When we got chances to make plays, whether it's with our legs or arm or catching the ball, we got to make sure we take advantage of every one of them.
You guys know about Armstrong, obviously, but what's the extra challenge of preparing for a team that is breaking in a new head coach? Because, I don't know what you scout. Do you scout what they did last year, or do you go back and try and look at what Clemson might have done to see some tendencies and things like that?
The only thing we did with Virginia's offense last year is just to kind of look at personnel. How well they run, basically how talented they are. But Virginia's offense last year, this offense is going to be different. You got to look at Clemson. You got to look at NC State. Des Kitchen was there at NC State. So, we're looking at a lot of different things in places that they have been. So it makes it a little tougher on our defensive guys. I think offensively, they're going to do the things they did at Air Force. He was extremely successful at Air Force. Their defenses were really good. I don't see him changing a lot. Every year people tweak different things. He'll have different things he wants to tweak, just like we will. I mean, both sides of the ball and special teams. The other one that people don't talk about is special teams. Their special teams coordinator hadn't been a special teams coordinator. So we can't go to, I think he was an Army. We can't go to Army and say, all right, he was special teams coordinator. This is what we're looking at. So, that's a little bit of a gray area for us in trying to figure out special teams wise, and that's really, with the punt return and all the return games and cover games. So, special teams was probably the most difficult piece to kind of figure out. We'll just have to adjust as we go.
David, to you?
Russ, piggybacking on that, you had mentioned Monday that one way these FCS, FBS games can get sideways is special teams and breakdowns and such. But do you have some sense of comfort going into this game? You've got an experienced place kicker, you've got an experienced punter, you've got a kick returner who last year took one to the house. Do you feel good about your special teams going into this game and the season?
Well, I feel good about those guys that you just mentioned, but our punter doesn't have to cover a punt. That's the issue there.
Right.
Jake, when he kicks it, he doesn't have to cover a kick. That's the issue there. So it's never the aspect of just actually kicking the ball. It's more of, all right, how can we get them on the ground in open space, whether we're kicking off, we're punting to them. It'll be how do we punt? Billy Kemp, I think, is probably a pretty dynamic return guy. We got to be really careful of what we let him do with the ball in his hands. Our kickoff cover team I like a lot. We got a lot of Wheeler's on there, O'Connor's on there. We got a lot of good players on that thing, and they were on it last year, and actually they made a lot of plays. But some of the other units, maybe a little bit more difficult. So the kicking aspect of it, just putting the foot to the ball, feel good about. Dykes with the ball in his hands, feel good about. It gets to a point of how can you get people on the ground in wide open spaces.
Yeah. As the FBS moves what inevitably seems like an expanded playoff down the road and maybe even expanded conference schedules, do you sense that these FBS, FCS games during the regular season will go away?
Yeah, I was asked that question. I can't remember who asked me that, but yes, I do think they'll go away. I told somebody, let's sign as many contracts as we can, try to get that thing up to about 2038. And then when they bail on us, we'll take the money. But it's going to go away. I don't know. What do you think? You think?
Yeah.
I think they're going to go away.
Yes. And I think sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one too. I enjoy, I know our guys enjoy playing these games. It's going to be neat to go into Scott Stadium and play a game. And it was great to go into Virginia Tech last year. And, I know we got Michigan State. Hopefully we'll get that one in next year, I'm sure. But, those games are fun for our guys. They're excited to play them. And, but yeah, they're going to go away. And I think I'm with you, sooner rather than later. Yeah. So I got to talk to Walsh when we get out of here, see if we can get about 10 more scheduled in here and sign contracts.
And then just one more quick one. Obviously, Joe got hurt last year on the second play against Virginia Tech, not because it's an FBS, FCS game, but nonetheless, you lost your quarterback for a couple of weeks. Is that a primary concern when you play these games, is getting a key guy or guys, heaven forbid, nicked?
Not at all. When you play these teams, they play so clean. It's like they play, football, they're really good athletes. There's not a lot of people stumbling, bumbling over each other. I get more nervous going against the scout team in injury wise, because people are on the ground and, people are falling down and falling into somebody. I don't believe Virginia is going to be falling on the ground or, or falling into anybody. I think it just, Joe's injury was flukish. I mean, like he didn't even know he had it done to him. And that was the only injury we had in that game. So I think these games, and I know people talk about, well, man, you're going to get hurt and they're going to hurt you. Well, I mean, we lift weights and we run and we got good athletes. So I think the health issue has never, ever, ever been a concern of mine. And I don't think you can talk to probably any FCS coach, and I don't think one of them would say, yeah, we're worried about injuries in this game. I'm more worried about injuries going against the scout team, to be honest with you, because sometimes they're not real athletic and there's bodies flailing and flying. I mean, I'm just telling you, come on out one time and watch the scout team go. Woo.
Thanks, Russ.
Jerry. Another Zoom question?
Hey, Russ,
I got you.
this is Jerry Ratcliffe, JerryRatcliffe.com in Charlottesville. For those of us that haven't had the pleasure of
He kind
seeing,
of reminds me of Lou Holtz, doesn't he? A little bit.
uh-oh.
I thought Lou Holtz was on here for a minute, and
I
that's a
wish so.
compliment.
Wish I was as smart as Lou Holtz.
Yeah, we all wish we were.
Yeah, I know what you mean. For those of us that haven't had the pleasure of seeing Udinski play, can you talk about his strengths and what the fans may expect to see from him on Saturday?
I'd say probably, and Billy told me this when he came here and he decided to make the decision to come here. Accuracy. He's got unbelievable accuracy. He puts the ball where it's supposed to be on the wide outs. He doesn't make many mistakes with the football. So, I mean, he's got a really good arm. I wouldn't say, he might say it, but I don't think it's an elite. Like I think Joe Mancuso probably threw a little bit harder ball there and probably had a little bit more arm strength. But Reese, his accuracy is incredible. His football IQ is incredible. He moves good enough. I mean, he's not a stiff back there. He can move, which makes life a little bit better. So you got a lot of great qualities as a quarterback. I mean, he's a really good player. He's impressed me from day one.
With both teams having successful passing attacks, could we see this thing turn into a track meet?
I hope it's not a track meet because that means we're not. I don't think if this gets to a track meet, we're in trouble because they got a lot better track stars than we got, to be honest with you. So I really would not like it to be a track meet here. They're going to probably try to be as balanced as they can running and throwing the football. They'll be different than last year. I mean, they threw the ball 70 times against Wake Forest. I watched that one the other day, 70 times. I think they threw it 70 times in another game. They will not throw the ball 70 times against us. And so I think it's going to be way more balanced offense. And then we try to be balanced. Now, we'll probably be a little bit more throw than run. But you got to try to get as close to 60-40 as you can. And, that we're going to take what they give us. If they say you have to run the ball, we're going to run the football. And if they take the run away, then we'll try to throw the football out there. But yeah, I don't want this to be a track meet out there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else, Coach? Thank you, Russ.
All right. Look, doesn't he look like Lou Holtz a little bit? Huh? He did, didn't he? I swear, when I looked at it, I said, Lou Holtz is on. Then I went, no, Lou Holtz can't be on this thing.
Mr. O'Connor, you want to go first?
Thank you. I mean, we talked a little earlier about defending big, strong receivers, and we'll see plenty of them Saturday. What is the key, in your view, to try to cover them up?
Hey man, compete is going to be a good challenge for us to get ready for the season. I know they got some good guys over there, accomplished guys, so I mean, that's what we practice for, man. Just come out and compete and play every down, one play at a time.
When you have looked at them, the receiver group, what do you see?
I see a little bit of everything. They have some faster guys, some quicker guys, some guys that like to work in space. They have guys that can go up and get the ball, go attack the ball, and then they have some guys that are pretty balanced. So, I mean, they got a lot of good weapons on the outside, but we're ready for it.
And Mayor, you, one of your better games last year, I think, was Virginia Tech.
Yes, sir.
Pass breakups, tackles. What do you remember from that experience, and how could that carry over playing another ACC team? All due respect to Tech, obviously a really great quarterback and receivers. So,
The atmosphere. I mean, it was a blessing just to play on the field, and I believe with this game, it's just going to be the same thing. Being able to go out there and compete with my teammates is going to be a really good experience, and just make the most out of it every play, every down.
how did you feel about that game?
Last year, I mean, I felt pretty good. I felt really good, really, really good. Got to compete against some ACC guys. Some guys. One was in the league, I believe. So, yeah.
Coach mentioned that you guys love playing these games. And if so, for each of you, why? Why is this such a great opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's just an opportunity to play on the biggest stage possible. You know, you're playing an ACC team, Power Five, and start out the season this way. It's very exciting. It's a big atmosphere. A lot of people there. So, I think that every football player, no matter what level, gets excited for big games like this.
Just to go off what he said, I feel like these type of games kind of set the tone for your season. I mean, I feel like football is all about momentum and how you respond to different like adversities that you go through. And I feel like this game will be a real testament of the team we have this year. So I definitely believe it's going to be a great test.
Are you comfortable with how much and how well the offense has come along in this camp, and with all the changes, being ready for what's coming on Saturday, regardless of the
Yeah, of course. I mean, going back to the spring when I first got here, all the way to now, we've made huge strides, and that gives me a lot of confidence in the guys I'm playing with, whether it's up front or outside receiver, running back. I trust those guys a lot, and really that's just because of all the work we did in the summer. So it's not always easy implementing a new offense, but the team really bought in, and that's why I think I really trust them, and I think they trust me as well.
Any questions on Zoom? David?
Reese, obviously you played at Maryland when you were at VMI. I think you were playing 2 FBS opponents a season.
Yes, sir.
Is there much difference between FCS and FBS players, particularly on the back end of the defense, which is what you're throwing against?
Right. I mean, I played at both FCS and the FBS level, and I think there is a difference. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great FCS teams, a lot of great FCS players. My teammates are all tremendous players, but I think that there's more depth at the FBS level, and I think that has something to do with the scholarship amount. FBS teams have more scholarships, so they can add to their depth, and I think that might be the difference in what makes the difference between an FCS team and an FBS team is just having more depth because they have some more guys. But there's great players everywhere. So the FBS and FCS level, although there is a difference, I think it's smaller than what people think.
Did you find in your experience at VMI playing in those games, Reese, that the depth factor became more apparent as the game went on? Because as you get deep into that third and then fourth quarters, that's when there's fatigue from the FCS guys, front line guys.
Yes, sir. I mean, I remember I played in 5 games, FCS versus FBS, at my time at VMI. And we were able to start out kind of hot against those FBS teams. But like you said, as the game wore on, we started to slow down, and they started to keep their speed going. So I think you're right. I think that over time, the depth starts to really show, and they can play more guys. They feel more comfortable with the amount of guys that they have and they can play. So I think you're right when you say that at the end of the game is really when you see that depth difference.
Thank you.
Did you ever notice a lack of respect at the beginning of any of those games? Or is it pretty much players will recognize players regardless of what level they're at?
Right. I don't think there's any lack of respect. I think both sides, they just want to play a football game and they want to win. So I don't think one team's looking down or looking up at the other. We're all just here to play a game and try to do our best.
Anything else? All right, thank you.